I want you to picture a scenario. It's a classic business disaster, but it happens every single day. You're a massive fast food chain. Sales of your milkshakes are flatlining. So you do the logical, MBA-proof thing. You get a bunch of customers in a focus group, give them a survey, and you ask, how can we make these milkshakes better?
And being helpful people, they answer. They tell you they want them thicker, sweeter, maybe richer chocolate.
Exactly. So you listen. You spend millions retooling the supply chain. You launch the new and improved shake, and
And nothing.
nothing happens.
You'd be-
Sales don't budge. Actually, maybe they even dip a little.
It is the absolute nightmare scenario. You did everything right by the textbook, listened to the customer, and you still failed.
That is the mystery we are unpacking today. We're looking at a stack of research, and we're centering on a really sharp article by Shish S. about modern consumer intelligence. And it argues we are fundamentally bad at knowing what we want, and, well, companies are even worse at asking us.
It's a massive efficiency problem. I mean, we assume that if we ask people a direct question, we'll get a direct, truthful answer. But the reality is, human decision-making is messy, it's subconscious, and it's so context-dependent. So this deep dive today is all about a framework called jobs to be done.
I've heard this term thrown around in product circles for years. It usually sounds a bit like buzzword bingo to me.
It can be, for sure, if you treat it superficially. But at its core, it's a radical shift. It moves you from analyzing who the customer is, their demographics, to why they're hiring a product.
So the mission today is to see how we move from, guessing based on surveys to knowing based on behavior.
Exactly. And we're going to trace this from that fast food milkshake disaster all the way to Microsoft's strategy for AI startups.
Okay, let's stick with the milkshakes for a minute. This is the origin story of the whole framework, right?
It is. This comes from Clayton Christensen's work at Harvard Business School. When the thicker and sweeter strategy failed, they realized the data was useless because the question was wrong. So they sent researchers to physically stand in the restaurants for 18 hours a day.
Just lurking in the corner watching people buy shakes.
Basically, yes. And because they weren't looking at the survey data, they saw something the spreadsheets completely missed. Almost 40% of all milkshakes were sold in the early morning, before 8:30 a.m.
Which is weird. I mean, I love a milkshake, but that's a dessert. 8:00 a.m. is coffee and bagel time.
That's what they thought. But these buyers were almost always alone. They didn't buy anything else. They just grabbed the shake and marched right out to their cars.
So they had to go ask them.
They did. The researchers finally stopped one of them and asked, essentially, "Excuse me, what job are you hiring this milkshake to do at 8 a.m.?
I assume they didn't use the word hire in the parking lot, but I get the point. They were trying to find the utility.
The utility was the commute. That was the breakthrough. These people had a long, boring drive to work. They weren't starving, but they knew they'd be hungry by 10 a.m. They needed something to do three things.
Okay.
Keep them full, fit in the cup holder, and most importantly, alleviate the boredom of driving.
So the milkshake isn't competing with a Whopper or a soda.
No. And this is the key. If you look at a spreadsheet, you think a milkshake competes with other drinks. But in the customer's actual life, the milkshake was competing with a banana, a bagel, or a Snickers bar.
Okay, let's play that out. Why does the milkshake win that fight? A banana is way healthier.
A banana is gone in less than 2 minutes. You eat it, and you're back to being bored, just staring at the bumper in front of you. Plus, you're hungry again in an hour.
And a bagel.
Have you ever tried to put cream cheese on a bagel while driving a stick shift?
It's a disaster.
It's a total disaster. It's dry, it's crumbly, it gets all over your pants.
Yeah, I've ruined a few shirts that way.
But the milkshake, it's viscous. It takes 20 minutes to suck it through that thin straw. It gives you a steady dopamine hit of sugar. It engages one hand, but it's clean. It fits the cup holder. It does the job of entertaining survival better than anything else.
So when the company made the shakes thicker, they accidentally made it harder to suck through the straw, which might have actually been a feature, not a bug, because it lasted longer.
Right, but sweeter was irrelevant.
They just didn't care about that attribute.
They hired the milkshake to last the duration of the commute. That's it.
Here is my issue with the story, though. Why did the surveys fail so badly? I mean, if you ask someone, why did you buy this? Why wouldn't they just say, have a long drive?
Because people are terrible at analyzing their own subconscious motivations.
Mm-hmm.
If I ask you why you bought a specific suit, you might talk about the fabric quality or the rational features. You probably won't say, I bought it because I'm insecure about my new promotion and I need to look authoritative.
Fair point. We answer the question we think we're being asked.
We answer aspirationally. In a survey, We are the person we want to be. I want healthy options. I want salads.
Hmm.
But at 7 a.m., when you're dreading a traffic jam, your actual self takes over, and your actual self wants comfort and distraction.
So surveys measure stated intent, but business is built on revealed preference.
That is the distinction. And in fast-moving markets, it gets even worse. Survey data is static. By the time you collect, analyze, and present the data, the market has already moved. You're looking at a snapshot of the past, while your customers are reacting to real-time variables you didn't even think to put on the questionnaire.
Which brings us to the core of the source material today. We aren't just talking about milkshakes. The article makes a pretty aggressive pivot to the tech world, specifically Microsoft for startups.
It seems like a leap, doesn't it? But the logic holds. Shish S., the author, discusses how they had to completely re-architect how Microsoft engages with founders.
I feel like startups is a demographic that gets surveyed to death. What do you want? More money? Better tools?
And if you ask a founder what they want, they will always say cash or free cloud credits. It's the knee-jerk answer. It's the make the milkshake thicker answer.
Because cloud credits are a tangible feature. It's just easy to ask for.
Right. And Microsoft initially fell into that trap. They segmented founders by funding stage or geography standard demographics. But then they applied the jobs to be done lens. They asked, what is the struggle a founder is facing where they might hire Microsoft?
I'm guessing the struggle isn't just, I can't afford my server bill. I mean, it is, but that's not the existential threat.
The existential threat for a B2B startup is obscurity. Nobody trusts you. You're two people in a garage or a WeWork. You're trying to sell enterprise software to a bank or a hospital, and their procurement department is laughing at you.
So the job isn't host my code. The job is make me look legit.
Borrowing credibility. That was the shift. Founders were hiring Microsoft for enterprise trust, starting to out it. If a startup can say, we are backed by Microsoft, we are integrated into Azure, and we are compliant with their security standards, suddenly that bank listens.
That changes the product completely. Instead of just handing out credits, you're building a program that actually validates the startup.
It moved from a benefit program, here's some free stuff, to a business acceleration program. Here's access to customers and credibility. The progress the customer wanted wasn't a cheaper bill. It was a signed contract with a Fortune 500 company.
This is all great theory. Stop guessing, start knowing, find the job.
But the milkshake researchers spent weeks standing in a shop. Microsoft has thousands of people to talk to founders. Most companies don't have that luxury. So how do you do this at scale without it costing a fortune?
That's the execution gap. It's easy to understand the theory, it's hard to operationalize it, and this is where the source material introduces the modern tool set. We have technologies now that can simulate those researchers standing in the corner, but for the entire internet.
The article breaks this down into 3 layers. Let's walk through them because I want to understand the mechanics here. It's not just AI magic. No, it's specific layers of intelligence. Layer 1 is what we just discussed. The framework. You have to know you're looking for the job. Layer 2 is where the tech kicks in. Behavioral AI. The example given is a platform called iGenie.
Okay, dig into iGenie for me. How is this different from, social listening tools that have been around for a decade?
Traditional social listening just looks for keywords. It counts how many times people mention your brand. Behavioral AI, like iGenie, is looking for causality and unarticulated needs.
Give me an example.
Okay, let's go back to the milkshake. A traditional tool sees a tweet, drinking a milkshake.
iGenie is analyzing the context. It correlates search patterns, maybe people searching for one-handed breakfast or car-friendly food, with the sentiment in forums where people complain about messy bagels.
So it's connecting dots that don't explicitly mention the product itself. It looks for the struggle. It creates a data-backed view of why people are behaving a certain way, rather than just reporting what they are doing. It's the difference between hearing a noise and understanding a language.
Yeah.
It lets you spot a trend like commuter snacking before a competitor even names it.
So that's the why and the what. Layer 3 is market intelligence. The article mentions 2 companies, Nimble and Tembi.
This is the where. Because your customer doesn't exist in a vacuum. They are constantly seeing other options. Nimble is fascinating because it turns the digital shelf into structured data.
Digital shelf meaning what Amazon or Walmart looks like right now.
Exactly. Amazon, Walmart, Target, direct-to-consumer sites. Nimble scrapes this in real time. It sees if your competitor just dropped their price by 10%. It sees if a new product just launched with a commuter-friendly claim. It gives you the competitive landscape instantly.
And Tembi?
Tembi is a simulator. This is the really cool part. It doesn't just look at the page, it acts like a customer. It runs simulations of customer journeys across retailers.
You mean like bots trying to buy things?
Effectively, yes. It can test availability, assortment, friction. It might find that, hey, on this specific retailer, your product is listed, but it's impossible to check out.
Oh, wow.
Or when you search for breakfast, you don't show up, but the competitor does.
It's essentially a mystery shopper army that never sleeps.
That's a great way to put it. So look at the stack now. You have the JTBD theory to understand the goal. You have iGenie to analyze the behavioral demand signals. And you have Nimble and Tembi to analyze the competitive reality.
That is a formidable engine, but I have to play devil's advocate here. If these tools exist, and if they are as good as the article implies, why isn't every massive corporation using them to perfectly optimize everything? Why do we still get bad products?
Because big enterprise has an immune system and it attacks anything new.
The procurement department again?
It's the execution gap. Imagine you are a brand manager at a huge company like Unilever or P&G. You hear about iGenie, you want to use it. You can't just swipe a credit card. You have to go through IT security reviews, legal compliance, data privacy impact assessments, vendor onboarding. It can take 18 months just to sign a contract.
By which time the market has completely moved on.
And the startup might have gone bankrupt waiting for you. This is the friction that kills innovation in big companies. They know they need the tools, but their internal processes prevent them from accessing them.
So this circles right back to the Microsoft program we talked about earlier.
It closes the loop. This is why the Microsoft for Startups pivot was so genius. By vetting these startups, ensuring they are built on secure Azure infrastructure, making sure they meet compliance standards, Microsoft acts as a bridge.
They are basically saying to the enterprise, it's okay, we check their ID, you can let them in.
It de-risks the engagement. A bank or a retailer can partner with a Nimble or an iGenie much faster because Microsoft has stamped them as enterprise-ready. It turns Microsoft from just a hosting provider into an innovation broker.
That is a really crucial distinction. It's not just about technology, it's about trust. The job Microsoft is doing for the enterprise is procurement filtering.
And the job they're doing for the startup is sales acceleration. Everyone makes progress.
It's funny how simple it sounds when you break it down, but it requires ignoring so much conventional business wisdom. You have to ignore the demographics, you have to ignore the surface level survey answers, you have to ignore the standard vendor features list.
You have to focus maniacally on progress. What progress is the human on the other side trying to make?
It reminds me of that old quote, people don't want a quarter-inch drill, they want a quarter-inch hole.
Even that doesn't go deep enough. They don't want a quarter-inch hole. They want to hang a shelf.
And they don't want a shelf. They want their living room to look less cluttered so they feel peaceful.
Now you're doing it. That's the job to be done. If you sell the drill, you're a commodity. If you sell the peaceful living room, you're a partner.
So, as we wrap this up, I'm thinking about how our listeners can apply this. Obviously, if you run a business, stop sending out lazy surveys. But this feels applicable just to living.
It applies to everything. We are all hiring solutions all day long.
I want to leave everyone with a challenge for the week. Look at the last significant purchase you made. Maybe it was a Peloton you're now using as a clothes hanger. Maybe it was a new phone. Maybe it was a specific brand of coffee.
Don't look at the features. Don't tell yourself you bought the car because it has good gas mileage. Ask yourself, what was the struggle I was in? What was the context?
Did I hire the gym membership to get fit? Or did I hire it to alleviate the guilt of eating pizza on Friday night?
Or did you hire that expensive noise-canceling headphone, not for the sound quality, but as a do not disturb sign for your coworkers in the open plan office?
That's a good one. Every product is an applicant for a job you have. If you can figure out what that job is, you'll understand yourself and the world a lot better.
And you might save some money on things you don't actually need to hire.
There it is. The deep dive into the milkshake paradox and the future of AI. Thanks for hiring us to fill your earbuds for the last 20 minutes.
Hope we got the job done.
We'll catch you on the next one.